Hello, everybody who is already here. I'm glad to welcome you. Now I'm turning the camera on and loading the presentation. Please, somebody write or say whether you can hear me, whether you can see me while I'm loading the presentation. Okay, very good, thank you. Just a minute. I think this one. Okay, just a few minutes. That's it. It's here. Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so it's 6 of us are already here. Very good. So now, before we begin to talk about design thinking today, as it was on Monday, I'm going to have a small questionnaire for you. Now I will represent my screen. Here it is. So I'm asking you to answer the following questions. Whether you know anything about design thinking, and the second question is about your expectations. What would you like to know today? Maybe you have some experience, maybe you already have some questions that you would like to ask. So you may write in 3 simple words what you want to get from our class today. So please, while we're waiting for others to join us, I'm asking you to join the website menti.com, to dial the code 889425. I will write it down in the chat. Okay, very good. So I see you're already voting. So please, just tell me whether you are aware about what design thinking is. Maybe you're working in design thinking frame. And what are your expectations for today? What would you like to know? What questions maybe you already have for me? So according to this, I will give you some pieces of theory about design thinking frame. And in the end, we're going to try to work on some of the tools that are applied in design thinking. Okay, so some of you haven't heard anything. Some of you have heard. You know, but don't apply. Okay. Okay, so it's 4 of us, and there are 5 who are already here. I will switch to your expectations. Maybe someone has already voted. Not yet. Okay, so we're waiting. You can switch to the second question, and you will be addressed to the next part of the questions, to your expectations. You may write 3 words, in 3 words, what you would like to know. You're not limited, so you can vote several times about your expectations. So if you have much expectations, you are free to write everything you want, everything you need. Okay, so No other participants are joining yet. Still we're waiting. I think we can give them a couple of minutes to join. Data and presentation. Of course, you will get the presentation. Yes, all the material. Practice tools. Yes, we will try not all the tools, because in fact, design thinking process is well, it's not very short, and we are limited. We're pressed for time, and it involves prototyping. So in this online mode, we are not able to test the prototype in any way. If we had more time, we could apply some practices in prototyping, but not today, unfortunately. But some of the tools, some of the instruments, we will try on ourselves. Projects, okay, inside tools. Okay, so very good. Maybe if others will join us later, they will switch to the questionnaire. I see someone is joining. So process, yes, we will get the understanding of the process of design thinking and the major steps in the process of design thinking. I will tell you about it in theory, and some of the tools we're going to try on practice. Ideas. You will have to generate ideas today, and I hope that today you will be more talkative than in our previous class, because you will have to communicate with each other. You will have in one of the tools, you will have to talk, well, relatively much. You have a special task where you will need to ask questions, and you will have to answer the questions with your partners from your group. So for those who joined us in previous minutes, I'm asking you to go to the website www.menti.com and enter the code 889425, 889425. It's in the chat, you may see it, and answer the following questions about your awareness of design thinking. So whether you know what design thinking is, or maybe you already apply design thinking in your everyday work. And the second part of the question is about the expectations. So I'm not seeing the results on the first slide. That's strange. Okay, there they are, they're loading. And the second slide is about your expectations, what you would like to get today. Well, I think those who will join later will get a chance to answer the questions later. And now we are returning to the presentation, and we'll start with our theory. So I'm not introduced myself, because I hope you remember we have met on Monday. We have talked about the Agile framework and the Scrum framework, the basics of agility. And today we are transferring to the design thinking lab, to the design thinking framework, which is also very connected with agile frameworks, and it's the principles, the basic principles of design thinking are very much like the principles of agile. So my name is Svetlana Tatarinova. I'm the senior lecturer in Samara University, and I have some experience in working in the framework of design thinking, while I practiced in agile teams, both as a member of the team and as the coach of the agile team. Design thinking was one of the frameworks that we normally work in. So today I'm gonna tell you the basic theoretical facts. It's not working. Okay. So here you will see our total timing for today. As usual, it's 2 hours. First of all, we've already had the introduction. I understood that most of you have heard or know something about design thinking, but are not working in this frame. So I hope you will get something new, some new experience, and some new knowledge about design thinking. It's a very interesting framework that helps to create human-orientated solutions. It is becoming very popular today because the economy itself is nowadays very human-orientated. So we will have about half an hour, 40 minutes of theory, then a little break when you will be able to ask some questions if you have, and then we will go to the practical part where you will try the tools of design thinking framework. Some of them, not all, but some of them that may give you a slight insight maybe into design thinking. So what is design thinking, what it is about, how it can be used, and why it is becoming more and more popular. In fact, design thinking, the main peculiarity of design thinking, that it is a human-based approach to solving problems. That means to say that in the framework of design thinking, we always start from the human, from our customer, from the customer's problems, and not from the solution. First of all, we have to ask ourselves whom we are creating the product for. Who is our customer? What are his problems? What are his needs? And only then we try to analyze, to think, and to ideate of how to solve these problems. What products can we offer to make the life of our customer better? So this is the main point. Design thinking always starts from the human being. Design thinking is becoming more and more popular in modern economy nowadays because it helps to solve different types of complex problems with the best understanding of the customer's needs. If originally design thinking appeared in software development, in IT sphere, nowadays it is applied, well, almost everywhere. In business, of course, not only for the IT products, but for other product and services as well. In governmental sphere, to design the best services for the potential customers, for the countries, for the regions. In educational sphere, to create better educational programs that will correspond to the needs of the students, in many other various spheres. The methods that are applied in design thinking framework are always human-centric. So as I have said, people, the person, your customer is always in the center of everything. When we talk about other ways and other methods, sometimes we start from the problem. So we see, for example, some abstract problem of the country, or maybe of the region, of some businesses, and we start solving this problem. In design thinking, it's a little bit different. Behind the problem, we try to see the person who is facing this trouble, who is facing this problem, and only after the well, quite detailed description of this person, of this potential customer, we transfer to the problem and start solving this problem. So a person is always in the center of design thinking. You see down here the logo of the Institute of Design at Stanford. It's called the D School at Stanford University, and in fact now it's well, one of the basic institutions that generated the theoretical basis for the development of design thinking framework, and now it introduces almost every year some new methods, tools, and ways of implementation of design thinking. So if you want to get more materials, if you want to read more about design thinking, you should refer to the D School. it has well, quite a lot of materials that are open, and you can just turn to their website, and in some of the guides and some of the materials and books are translated in different languages. Most are in English, but there are also translations of some materials, not of all materials. But you may search and you may turn to their website. It's not written here. I will see, maybe I will post it in the chat, and I will add in the presentation that will be sent to you. So the D-School at Stanford University is one of the basic institutions that is developing design thinking nowadays worldwide. When it appeared, as I have said, design thinking appeared, well, a relatively long time ago, about half a century. And first of all, it was implemented in the sphere of technical development of technical products, and then it well, became one of the basic instruments, tools in software development. Later, in well, in about year 2000, 2010. There came an understanding, a notion that design thinking can be implemented not only for software development, not only for the development of technological products, but also for creating the best solutions for almost any sphere, including the services. It is working very well in service design, because services nowadays are tending to be more and more human orientated, more and more personalized. And in order to make them personalized, you have to know who is this person you're addressing this service to. So these are the main steps of design thinking that we're going to talk about. I will characterize each one of them briefly. These are the steps according to D-School, to the Stanford D-School. There are some other ways and some other authors that offer different varieties of these steps. Basically, they are the same, but some authors add some more steps, or they divide some of these steps into two. As for me, I have used, and I have studied on the basics of D-School, Stanford University, so I'm using this concept, but that doesn't mean it's the only one. If you find some other variations of these steps, it's not a mistake. It's just the position of other authors. You may also turn to it as well. It's not bad if we have several viewpoints on the same theory, on the same theoretical basis. So these 5 steps are empathy, where we try to capture who is our customer, what is he like, what problems he faces, what are his fears, what benefits he wants to get. And from this, we go to the next step. It's the definition, the step that is called define, where we are defining our viewpoint or point of view on the customer's problems. So from the portrait of the customer in the step 1 empathy, we go to defining his problems and our point of view on these problems. That's the step definition. The third step is probably the most interesting and most creative, where we have to generate the ideas. It is called the ideating or ideate step. Where we create as many ideas, possible solutions of the problem as we can. The fourth step is prototyping, where we create the prototype of our solution, of the product we want to present or the service we want to present to our potential customer. And the final step is testing. We test some MVP or the prototype that we have created on the potential customers in order to get the feedback. That doesn't mean that these 5 steps, when we pass these 5 steps, in the end we get the perfect product, the perfect solution. Normally it is not like that, and after the stage of testing, we normally go back. You probably remember these circles of improvement in Agile framework, in Scrum framework, when we get the feedback, understand what mistakes we have made, how we can make our product or service better, and go back to generating the ideas once again, to prototyping and testing. We can repeat these cycles many times unless we get the product that is really needed and wanted by our customer. So now more detailed information about the steps that we have to pass while we implement design thinking process in our work. First of all, as I have said, the first step is empathize. Here we try to understand who is our potential customer, what is he like. We try to get the insights into human behavior, so why he's facing this or that problem, what benefits he would like to get, what are his fears, what are his needs, where he's communicating with other people and other potential customers, so what is he like. We have that is to say, there is a very good saying, to walk in one's shoes. That is to say, in this step, on the step of empathy, we have to try to walk in the shoes of our customer. We have to try to imagine ourselves as the customer we're working for. And we try to penetrate into the depth of his behavior, to understand his emotions, to understand his needs better, to identify the right users, the right customers we are working for, because sometimes it may be difficult, and a common mistake of many startups or many young companies, that they do not focus on a peculiar group of customers. So they wish and they try to fulfill the needs of everyone, or very large, huge groups of customers. And sometimes that leads to a tragic end, because a young company not always can compete in the market successfully, and can not always can cope with this task. It's hard to fulfill the needs of everyone, almost impossible. You have to have a very diversified production in your company, and for the young companies it's not always possible. So when you start in the very beginning, it's better to be well focused on one peculiar group of customers, and the stage of empathy helps us to choose this group, to understand this group better. What are the methods and the tools that can be used on the stage of empathy? So our main task on this stage is to get the understanding on who our customer is and what is he like. So we can get this information, we can know what are his wants, his needs, his fears, through various ways. Only some of the methods I'm representing here, there are plenty of them, more than this you can see on the slide. For example, it may be the observation, when we just observe the human's behavior and try to understand how our customer acts in this or that situation. Analysis is very important stage. In fact, it can be mixed with the others when we analyze the information we have collected from different sources. Interview. It is the most common, the most popular method on this stage that is used in design thinking, when we directly interview the customer about his problems, about his wants and needs. Empathic listening is also one of the ways when we listen to the story about the customer's experience and try to be empathic with this customer, with his story, try to place ourselves in his shoes. Sharing stories is also a good method, because the last two, the empathic listening and sharing stories, why is it good? Why is it sometimes better than interviewing? Because not always the customer can answer the questions correctly, because sometimes the customer may not know the answers himself. And the other problem is that sometimes we as investigators, we cannot ask the questions correctly. It's also very, very difficult. And today we're gonna try this tool, the interview tool. You will interview each other, and I hope in the end you will give some feedback about whether it was easy or whether it was hard, whether you managed to ask the right questions from the very beginning, or it took you some time to get tuned with your partner, with the person you're interviewing. So in this case, sharing stories and empathic listening may be more useful, because when we are sharing stories, that means that not only the customer tells us something, but we also try to express our opinion and our viewpoint on the problem we are trying to get the cure for. And it helps to break the ice sometimes, and to make your potential customer more talkative, and to ask the right questions and to get the right information. The other method is empathic ledgering, or the so-called 5 whys, 5 questions, when you're asking about the reasons, when you try to penetrate into the reasons of this or that decision or behavior of your customer. You have to ask 5 whys step by step on every answer your potential customer gives you. That is to say, do you want to go for a walk today? Yes. Why do you want to go for a walk today? Because the weather is fine. Why do you think the weather is fine? And so on and so forth. So you ask the 5 whys, 5 questions of why, to understand the real reason why a person is doing or wants to do this or that, or acting this way or another. And another method is the analysis of the so-called extreme users, or who are the extreme users. What does it mean? When we make an interview or any other observation, when we use any other method of getting the information, we have the so-called statistics, the middle number, or the middle result that is most suitable for most of the people who answered your questionnaire, for example. So it's the so-called golden middle. But on the other hand, we always get the extreme points on the left and on the right, some extreme users that give us completely different information. For example, when we are designing some software product, some web application, for example, for our smartphones, there is some amount of users that are the so-called middle users. But we also have, for example, very young children who may use this application, and their experience may be completely different from these middle users. And we may have, for example, elder people who also may face some other problems and have some other questions, or maybe other needs that we will have to fulfill creating this application. So we should pay attention to these extreme users as well, and to get the information about our middle user concerning these extreme users. What tools can be used? You see, these are the 2 pictures. So first, on the left, in the middle, on the left from the word tools here, you see the empathy mapping. That is the so-called empathy map canvas, where you depict your customer. You describe your customer as in as more detailed way as you can. So, for example, sometimes when we work in the frame of design thinking, we even imagine some person, we give him a name, we imagine of how old he might be, or what is his job, what he is doing, what he likes, what he doesn't like, and all that. The more detailed description of your customer you give, the better understanding of his needs and wants you will get. We also will practice, we will not feel this empathy map canvas, but you will have the tool to write a little bit about your customer, to think who your customer might be. So we will practice this tool. The other one is stakeholders map. It's not presented there, but it's quite simple. It's the several rounds that just depict your closer stakeholders and your distant stakeholders. That is to say, this may be a person or representative of some organizations that might be potentially interested in your product or the service you are creating. And another tool is the customer journey map, the so-called customer journey map. You can see it in the upper right corner. It is, in fact, the way of the customer, the so-called way of the customer, of his experience from the very start. That is how he gets to your product or to your service, and which way he goes while using your product or service. With the help of this tool, the customer journey map, you may get the understanding of the points where you may lose your customer, for example, where something may go wrong and your customer doesn't want to use your service or your product anymore. You may find the ways of improvement, how to make your product or your service better. When you're drawing this customer journey map, when you're creating it, you may see the whole process of from the very beginning, how your customer gets your product, your service, to the very end, how he gets the value from your product or your service. And on this way, you may see the points where you can improve, where you can decrease the loss of customers, so that you can make your, in the end, you can make your product or service better. So it's a very useful tool. It's used not only in design thinking, it is also widely used in customer development framework, in agile methods, so it's widespread. And in design thinking, it's also very important because it helps to understand the way of your customer experience better. The next step we are going to, so when we have got the understanding, the complete understanding of our customer, of whom we are working for, whom we are creating for, you will have to focus on some of his problems, because when we describe the customer, we describe him in very detailed way. We may name several problems that he is facing, but we always have to pick some specific problem we are going to solve and to formulate our point of view on the customer's problem. That is very important. In fact, in general, the design thinking frame always goes from widening to going smaller. We look on the customer in a very broad and very wide way. We try to depict everything about him, and then we have to focus. So it's widening, focusing, and it's always like this in design thinking. So this is the time of focus. The second step, the define mode, is the time of focus, when we have to focus on some specific problem of our customer that we will solve. We have to revise all the information, the understanding we have got from the empathy step, to form it into our point of view and to choose the very specific problem of our customer we are solving. The third step, as I have said, it is probably the most interesting and the most creative step, is the step that is called ideation, when we are generating the ideas. There are various tools, instruments to generate ideas. The most common and the most simple is probably the brainstorming, where in the way of discussion in small groups, you try to generate as many ideas as you can, to discuss them and to depict the most suitable, those that you think may be the most suitable for solving this the problem you have chosen in the previous step. Today we will also try this instrument, the brainstorming, and you will generate the ideas to solve the task that I have prepared for you. So while we are generating ideas, we have to try to generate as many of them as we can. we have not to be afraid to express our ideas, because sometimes it comes from the practice, from my practice. Sometimes the ideas that may seem crazy from the very beginning might become the most suitable to solve this problem. So the main rules that we have to implement in ideating is to step beyond obvious. You have to use your fantasy, you have to use your broad mind to create the best solutions. You have to uncover unexpected areas, because we usually think in some model. We know how it works, we know how to solve this problem, we know the sphere it is normally working in, but when we are ideating, we have to try to broaden our minds so that we may think of some unexpected solutions maybe. And why we say that it is important to make as many ideas as possible, because the quantity in some period will turn into quality, so that when we have many ideas, we have more chances to pick something really brilliant, to get some really brilliant idea. Ideate could be the same that conceptual design. Yes, in some ways, yes, I would agree. It's the conceptual design. It's maybe also one of the methods as well. In assistance, what can be useful when you need to get some ideas? What teams should you form? What groups will help you to get the better ideas? First of all, when the members of these groups are very diversified, when they work in different fields, when they have different backgrounds, that will enrich your ideas very, very much. You have to maintain the positive atmosphere in while you are generating the ideas and while you're working in these teams. You should never criticize the ideas. You should accept whatever idea is proposed. You should just write it down on the stick note and stick to the board. And then while you will be choosing the ideas, well, you may just not choose this one because you think that it's not suitable, but never criticizing others. We are listening and we're accepting the ideas that are proposed. And the very good instrument, well, almost in for any communication or for any brainstorm is the typical phrase, yes and. So when we hear the idea of our teammate and we do not completely agree with this idea, we think that it's not suitable, we should try not to say, no, it won't work, I don't think it's a good idea. Try to say yes and develop some notion that you want to do. Yes, and I think you should propose some other ways of working it out, for example, or something like that. It helps to create the positive atmosphere, and it helps not to scare your teammates so that they would introduce the new ideas to you. Because when we say no, it doesn't work, the normal reaction of your opponent is to say, okay, well, then I won't propose anything in this team. So you should always be positive. You should always try to listen, to accept the ideas. It doesn't mean that later they will be chosen and you will have to fulfill these ideas proposed. The next stage of the same step, of this third step, is when we generated plenty of ideas through brainstorming or some other method, some other instrument, you have to pick the right ideas. You have to choose some specific ideas that you will prototype later. As I have said, normally you are pressed for resources, you're pressed for time, you're pressed for teams who will implement this idea. So you cannot pick 10 or 12 of them. You should pick, well, 1 or 2, those that you can quickly and easily prototype and present to your customer for testing. There is a good saying, all the ideas are brilliant until they face the real world, and it's quite true. When we're ideating, when we're creating the ideas, we can use our fantasy very well, our imagination very well, And on the first step, it may seem that the craziest ideas can be applied and are good in real life, but when you're picking the ideas on the first step, when you are generating ideas, you shouldn't be critical. When you're picking the ideas, you should be critical. But remember, you should never be critical to a person who proposed this or that idea. You should be critical to the idea itself. So no personality, just the ideas. When you criticize not the person, you criticize the idea, and you have to give your opinion. So you have to support your critics in some way. You have to explain why you think that won't work, and not just say, no, I don't like it. It is important while you're working in groups, while you're picking the ideas, to work out some criteria that should be worked out in the very beginning, that should be understandable. So everyone should know why this or that idea was chosen and why this one wasn't. Maybe it's this criteria may be anything. For example, the price of implementing this idea, whether it's cheap or not, the time of implementing this idea to practice, whether it's long or not, or how long it will take to implement this idea, the number of resources, for example, people who are needed to implement this idea to life, whatever you agree in the team before you start picking the ideas. And it is very important to make the common decision, the decision of the team, but not only the team leader, for example. Why is it important? Why is it so important? Of course, the leader of the team may take the responsibility and choose some idea because he has, for example, because he knows it better, because he has some experience in this field, he has some past experience, for example. But why is it not always good? Because you are motivated to work on the idea and to implement it to life only if it was your choice and not somebody's choice, the choice of your leader. When there is only the choice of the leader, not the choice of the team, of course the team will keep on working on this idea. Sometimes they have no other chance, they cannot quit. For example, if you're employed in the company, you may not just quit and say, I'm not working on that. But your motivation will be lower than in the case when the decision was taken regarding your point of view. There are few ways of making these decisions, of making decision common, and it also depends on the agreements you have reached in the very beginning. In some teams, when we're working, we implement the rule that the decision is taken, is made only when all the members of the team agree with it. So if even one member of the team doesn't agree, then we'll have to discuss more and to choose some other ideas, to propose some other ideas. It is good when the team is not very large, when there are few members, not more than 5, 7 members normally, and when they are working together, not for the first time. So when there is an opportunity to come to some agreement. The other way to make a decision, to make a common decision, the other rule that can be applied is more than 50%. So if more than 50% of the team agree, then the decision is taken. It is easier. It is a faster way because when we have to get the understanding of all the members, sometimes it may take really long time when we'll have to discuss, improve the idea until everyone agrees. It may take a relatively long period of time. When we say it's 50%, it's easier and it's faster, but the risks are those that I have told you before, that some members of the team who don't agree with the idea chosen may not be so well involved in making the final product. So they may lose some motivation because the idea that was chosen, well, in some way doesn't satisfy them. They don't understand, they may not understand why this idea was chosen. So this or that way may work. You may choose any you like, but it's very important to have the agreements in the very beginning. So before picking the ideas, you in the team must agree about how you will choose it, what will be the criteria to choose, and how you will vote for the idea. The next step we are going to is prototyping. It is a step that is that is taking more of time and resources in the process of design thinking, because here comes on this step, there is the implementation of your ideas, of the ideas that you generated to real life. You have to create something to test your hypothesis, to test the hypothesis that you put in your ideas on the previous step. What can be a prototype? Sometimes we understand the prototype in a very wide way, that it is, well, sort of MVP. You remember, I hope you remember, last time we talked about the minimum viable product that can be created, and sometimes it is considered that prototype is a model of a real product or the MVP of the real product, but it's not always like that. In fact, prototype can be anything that has a physical form that can be presented to your potential customer. It may be a wall of post-it of sticky notes. It may be a picture. It may be a role-playing activity. It may be any object that you will give to your potential customer. It may be an MVP, a model as well. So it's anything that has a physical form and can be presented to your customer. The best prototype is fast and cheap. We should try on this stage not to make the final product, the perfect product or service. We have to make just an example to show our customer the way of the solution and to get the feedback from him, whether it's the right way, whether we are going the right way, or he needs something completely different, something else. And it is very good when you can give why we say that prototype should be something physical, because it is good when you give this object to your customer in order that he could interact with this object, with this prototype, and get some experience of using this prototype. In this way, the feedback you will get will be very, very useful for you, because he may say whether it was comfortable or not, whether he liked it or not. So you should try to make the prototype that your customer can interact with. Why making a prototype? What effects we will get from presenting the prototype to the customer? It's the gaining of empathy. So while your customer is interacting with the prototype that you presented to him, you get the chance to get to know your customer better. So in fact, you are turning back to the step one, the empathy, but you're getting the notion of who your customer is and what he is like, not through interviews, for example, but through observation, the observation of how he interacts with your prototype. And you may fix some major points that you have noticed and implement it in your future development of the product. You may explore, you may make a sort of scientific research, because you can present several prototypes to your customer. As I have said, you don't have to pick one idea that you will implement. There may be 2 or maybe 3 of them, and you may propose different products for solving the same problem. But you should remember that you are normally pressed for time and resources, so you must think and evaluate how prototypes you can make in a relatively short period of time. And in this case, by comparing of how the customer, the potential customers interact with one proposed prototype and the other one, you may compare which one is better, or maybe there some mixture of the 2 prototypes will be needed. The other value is that you, through testing the prototype, you have the chance to test the functionality. So it's not only the testing of hypothesis, whether we are going the right way or the wrong way. It's also the testing of the functional features of the product you are offering. If your prototype is well worked out, if it's not the wall with the sticky notes, there you won't be able to test the functionality, but if it's the MVP of the product, you get this chance. And the other important feature result is the inspiration. They say that it's better to show once than to tell about something 100 of times, because even the best pitch of your product or your service will not always get to your customer. It's better when you give something to try and not only just tell about the product. So prototyping and presenting the prototype helps sometimes to inspire your customers to use your service or to use your product, even if well, they might not like the idea from the very beginning, but when they start interacting with your prototype, they may change your opinion. So inspiration is also one of the values that you may get from prototyping. As I have said, there are various ways of prototyping, and prototypes can be very different. Here are the methods or the examples of what can be a prototype. It may be a storytelling when you, in fact, do not give some physical object to test, but you give some story in pictures. It may be a pictured story. For example, the third one is the storyboard. When you have the pictures of how your customer may use and which situations he may use this product, it's also the way of prototyping. Not the best one, because as I have said, the best way is to give your customer a chance to interact with the product. So it's not the best way, but still it may exist. Modeling, when you create the model of your future product, it may have not all the functionality, but represent some of the future functions the final product will have. It may be a Lego model, the so-called Lego model created from Lego, or 3D model that will give the understanding of the product. It may be the stop motion when you in fact film the user experience, the customer experience, while he is using your product or your service. Sometimes stop motion is used to present software products. When it's not fully worked out, when it's not made fully, it doesn't have full functional, and it has only administrative access, but you as a creator of this software product, you may make the video of your screen, for example, of how you may use this application, for example, and show this video to your potential customer, where he will see how he will be able to interact with this application when it will be completely ready. Brainstorming is also an interesting practice when you, well, it's a sort of a scene that you're showing and explaining how you may interact with your product or your service. It's a very creative way to present the prototype. But there are others, any other way that will help you to show your future product from the best side, and to give your potential customer an understanding of how it will work and how it may be useful, what value it will give to your potential customer. And the final step is testing. I partly have said, because prototyping is very tightly connected with testing. In fact, we create a prototype in order to give it for testing later. And here you see the notion that can characterize probably testing the best. The power of iteration, fast mistakes are cheaper. So you maybe remember this from the basics of agility. that the agile methods and design thinking as well help to make quick mistakes quickly and to improve quickly. That is to say, if we have failed from the very beginning with our hypothesis or with the realization of our prototype, we give it to our customer, we understand that he doesn't like it. Normally, we waste not so much time to create a prototype. It's about maybe a week or 2 or a month. And we have wasted when we understand that we have created not the product our customer wanted. We have wasted only a week, 2 weeks, or a month, not longer. And we get a chance to get the feedback from our customer and to improve our product quickly. So that's why I'm saying that the process of design thinking is not always ending on the step 5, on the testing. Normally, it's not ending on the step 5 because well, it's hard to imagine that we have made the right product from the first effort. And normally, there are several efforts, sometimes plenty of efforts to create the product that the customer really needs and really wants. There is a good saying, prototype as if you know you're right, but test as if you know you're wrong. What it means? It means that when we have generated the idea, when we have picked the idea we're going to prototype, we should have no regrets. We should focus on this idea, create this prototype, and be sure that it's the right way we are going until the phase of testing. When we are testing, we don't have the aim to prove our customer that we were right, offering him this product. When we get the feedback from the customer, we don't have to argue, quarrel, or try to persuade him to get this product, to persuade him that this is the best solution we can add. Our main aim is to fix his feedback and to implement the feedback we have got in future for the future improvement of our product. That's why we to say when we are testing, we have always to think that we might be wrong, that we might have been mistaken choosing this or that hypothesis, choosing this idea, or making the prototype in this way. Well, as I have said on the previous slide, when we are testing, we get the chance to learn more about our customer, about his needs and wants, while we're watching how he interacts with our product, to refine our solution, to make it better. And on the other way, so sometimes after the step of testing, we may turn back to the step of prototyping, but it's not always like that. Sometimes we may go further to the step of ideas if we understand that the idea we picked was not right, was wrong. And sometimes we may go to the step 2, definition of the problem, when we understand that our point of view was not correct, was not right. And we may change our point of view and go the step 2, 3, 4, and 5 once again. And there may be plenty of these circles while we are performing design thinking process. What is important or how we can perform the testing? There are several ways. Also, there is a saying, testing is always a disappointment, but it is fun. Why is it said so? Because as I have said before, normally the first testing is never successful. It's rare cases when you can create the right product from the very first effort. Most likely that you will have to perform 3, 4, 5, or maybe even more efforts to make the product that your customer really wants. But in fact, any testing can be transformed into having fun, because you get a really useful, valuable experience to make your work in the future better. How you can, what methods you can apply or implement to test your prototype right. The first way is observation, and it is the most preferable way, when you just give your prototype to your potential customer and see how he is interacting with it, how he works with it. So you don't interfere in his actions. You just give the prototype and watch what he is doing. This is the best way when testing doesn't involve the participation of the creator of the product or the service. It is the best way you can get the best feedback in this case, because you're not guiding your customer to do this or that. You just watch what he's doing, what he's doing comfortably, what is not comfortable for him, and the feedback that you get in that way will be the most complete and the most valuable. But it's not always working this way. Why? Because as I have said, prototype may be anything that has a physical form, and sometimes we just don't have time, we don't have resources to make the prototype that can act without the participation of creator, that we may just give to the customer and watch. We're not always able to make this sort of prototype. In this case, if our prototype is, for example, some part of a product, or as I have said, the movie that represents how the product is working, or the board with sticky notes, in this way, we can do nothing but interfere into the interaction with the customer. And the second method is called setting the goals. So when we say the customer what he has to do with our product or service, that is, click here, go this way, watch this picture, listen to this, or something like that. And we get the feedback on specific points of interaction with our product or our service. It's also a good way. We will get some feedback, but it will be the feedback only on the points that we have focused our customer on. So anyway, it comes from the proposition of the goals that we have named to our customer. What is important to do for the team while we are working while we are testing? First of all, there must be a person in the team when we're making the review of testing the product. There must be a person who is fixing everything, who is fixing the reaction of the customer on our product or service. We have to fix all the good and bad reactions, all the mistakes that we've noticed, and even the sporadic mistakes that are not common for most users, that appear maybe even once, but they might be very important, because if the mistake appeared once, we cannot guarantee that it won't become common in some period of for some group of users. So we must fix everything, every mistake, every good and every bad reaction. Then it's very important not only just to fix what we have seen, what we have observed, but also to pay attention to further analysis. We have to get our team together once again to see on the mistakes and good and bad reactions fixed, and to analyze what happened, why it happened, can it be improved or not, and to further to work on how it can be improved. And the third important thing is to be ready to start again. As I have said, testing is most likely a disappointment. Almost always it's a disappointment. Almost always we get some dislikes from our potential customers. So we should be ready to dive into the improvement of our product or service, or even to start from the very beginning with choosing a different hypothesis and a different idea. So these are the main steps of design thinking. We're almost on time, a little bit late. If you have questions, we shall make a 10 minutes break, and then we'll go into several tools that you will try on practice. If you have any questions, you may switch your microphones, or you may write in the chat. And while I will be getting ready the tasks that you will have to fulfill. Oh, design thinking, how can be combined with an iterative process? In fact, it is the iterative process because while we perform the process of design thinking, we go through iterations. These 5 steps we may call the same, well, we can say that it's a bit similar to PDCA cycle we have talked about on Monday. The cycle of these 5 steps may go round and round. So you may represent the different iterations of the same product. You have performed something, some MVP or prototype, you have shown it to the potential customer. For example, the first release of some software application. You have made the first release, you notice the mistakes, then you go the other way around, you improve some mistakes you have noticed and make the second iteration. Show some new results. Then you get the feedback again and go on the third iteration, on the fourth iteration, and whatever. So in fact, design thinking is an iterative process itself. And in why it can be combined very well with agile methods, with lean, is because it has the same values and the same basis of working in with increments and iterations. So now I'm fixing the timer. I think we have already spent about 2 or 3 minutes, so I will place it on, well, let it be 8. If you have any questions, don't be shy to ask. You will have to communicate and to talk today. So you may as well switch your microphones. While I'm preparing the board, we will be working in. You may ask me anything you want to know. We will work partly in Google Jamboard. I will say a few words of how we're going to work there, but I hope this tool is familiar to you. I hope it won't make any difficulty. Okay, now, so we have run out of time for the break. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So if you have in the process of work or maybe get some ideas, something you want to ask, be free to ask, don't be shy. And now we are going to some practice. The rest of the time we will devote to this practice. Now I will see how many of us are here. I hope you're all in. You're all listening and you're ready for the future work. I must say you will have to switch your microphones on while working. I'm not asking you to switch the cameras because I don't know how good is your internet connection. So let's not take this risk. But as for the microphones, you will have to switch them on because you will have to communicate with each other in pairs. In separate rooms. We will try this instrument once again. They told me, the managers of the program told me that it worked well in the previous few days. So I hope it will work today. It will work better than on Monday. So first you will be divided into pairs and communicate with each other, and the second step you will be divided into 2 groups and you will generate the best ideas for solving the problem. So what is where we are going to work? I will show you right now. I will give you the link. We will work in the Jamboard service. So I'm giving you the link in the chat. You will see it. I hope everyone will be able to join. I will demonstrate it on the screen. It looks like this. We're all working in one Jamboard. Okay, I see some of you are joining. That's good. So we will be working in one Jamboard. You see it now on the screen, or you may join straight to the Jamboard. You see several pages there. You will work not separately, but all the same on the same Jamboard. What you will have to do, what you will have to perform on this Jamboard. So now I will tell you what will be your task, what we are designing today. My idea is the following. We have all worked for relatively long period of time in online mode. I don't know, in our country, in Russia, it all began in March, when most of the companies closed and we all had to leave our offices, but we couldn't stop working. So we continued the work process, but we had to work in distant mode. Normally we worked from home because we don't have any other place we could stay. It was the period of isolation. We couldn't quit our homes for some time. It was a hard period, and in some regions, for example, of our country, we in university, for example, we still continue working in online mode even today. And for many people, it was a real problem to work online because the conditions that we are working in are not always suitable. The home is not always a good place to work. It's not an office. And many of us faced the problems when we during the working process, we were our domestic animals interfered. We had to answer the questions of our kids or something else. So there were many various problems that we faced. So your task for designing for today will be to generate the ideas how to make organization of working space for distant working or distant learning or working from online better. So anything any idea. You don't have a specific task. I'm not saying you that I need a separate room, or I need some special device or something like that. That's up to you. That's the point of design thinking. You don't know the ways how to solve the problem. You know only the problem. The problem is how to work from home in online mode efficiently without any factors that may interrupt our normal process of working. So I hope that task is understood. You may write or you may ask questions. If you have questions, you will have to generate the way how to work from home or from other space that is not office efficiently. That is the problem that we faced in many ways for the previous months, during the previous months. If we're talking of the second wave of pandemic, we're not sure if it won't come up again. So we need some cure from this problem. So your task is to create some solution how we can work efficiently from home to solve this problem of you, of me, of common people who had to face this problem in the previous time. What you will do, what you will have to do. We are all different. We live in different situations. We have different experience. Even in this common question, all of us face different problems. So maybe some of you didn't face any problems at all and have their solutions on the other hand. So now I will divide you in pairs and you will have to carry on with the interview. You remember we have told that one of the tools of design thinking, when we have to empathize, when we have to understand our potential customer, is the interview. So you will have to make interviews with each other. You will have 10 minutes totally, 5 minutes for each of you. So 5 minutes interviewing one, the second period 5 minutes interviewing the other person. You're asking each other questions, and afterwards you will have 5 minutes more to make a small summary. What this summary will look like. In fact, you will try to depict the empathy map canvas. We have talked about it before. I will put it on the screen so that you could see it. Here on the Jamboard, you see the example of the empathy map and the questions you will have to answer. So the problem is, I think I will write it down here so that you don't forget what problem we are solving. And you will have to stick the notes on the Jamboard here, saying who are your potential customers, because we're all different. What do they need to do? What are their needs? What do they see? What do they hear? What do they do normally? What are their pains and gains? What they think? What they fear of? So you will have to answer not necessarily all of these questions, but some. The more specific your empathy map will be, the better solution you will be able to get. And then afterwards, we will carry on with the generating of ideas. So, is it clear what we are doing in the next 15 minutes? Asking each other questions, making interview, forming it with stickers on Jamboard. I hope you know how to stick the notes. So it's in the left side. You check this sign with a sticker. You type anything you want. I'm typing in Russian. And click save, okay. And so you have the sticky note on the board. So you will have to interview your partner and to write the example, the portrait of your potential customer here on the board with this sticker. Is everything clear? Please answer me. Switch the microphones or type. Is everything clear? You will have 5 minutes for the interview, then 5 minutes the other person is interviewing you, and you will have 5 minutes to write your sticky notes. So 15 minutes, 15 minutes. Please tell me if it's clear, and then we shall carry on because we don't have much time. Yes, okay. Joanna, okay, very good. Yes, you do this in pair. Now I will divide you into separate groups so that you could communicate with each other. You interview each other about, so you have to solve the problem of how to work from home efficiently in distant mode. So you will have to interview your partner, what is the difficulty for him to work this way, what problems he faces. So you will have to ask him questions about how you can improve the situation, how you can make working from home for him better. So that's the main topic you're interviewing your partner about. And then you fix the portrait of your partner on the sticky note. So you write as much information as you could know about him. For example, whether he has family or not. Maybe he's living alone and he doesn't have problem working from home. Or maybe he has 5 kids, I don't know, and it's really hard when you have many kids and you have to pay attention to your working hours, whether he has enough space at home, whether his internet connection is good, or maybe he's living far away. Can we pick our pair? Well, I will now mix you in the rooms. I think I will make it occasionally, so I'm not sure who your pair is. If everything is clear, then I will proceed with the personal rooms. If there are no questions, if there will be some, you may return to the chat, to our common chat, and ask me questions. So I think I'm making the rooms. There are 9 of us. We have, there are 3. There are 7 of you. So in one room, there will be not pair, but there will be 3 of you. So you will have a little bit less time, but you may just unite all together. In general, you will have the same 15 minutes. So I'm making the separate rooms. Now get ready. If something won't work, write me or tell me. Okay, so 3 rooms. Now I'm creating. You will have 15 minutes for all your activities. I will place 5, 5, and 5 minutes. 5 for the first interview, 5 for the second, and 5 to create the sticky note on the Jamboard. The Jamboard is for everyone, so you may write your names on the sticky boards if you want, or you may not. That doesn't matter. We shall get the total picture of your customers. Okay, so now we are going to separate rooms. You will have to agree to go to the separate room. Okay, very good.
You are currently the only person in this conference. You are currently the only person in this conference.
Okay, now, so now we are turning back to the main room, Okay, so can you hear me now? You have to quit. Now you have to quit the individual rooms and join the main room. I see that not every one of you is here yet. We have about 15 minutes to end up our process. So please tell me, can you hear me now? You still can't hear me. That's very bad. Try to... you have restarted. Okay, maybe... What about the others? Can the others hear me?
Okay.
Same here. Okay, I will try to relog myself. Just a minute. Okay, so how is the sound now? Can you hear me now? Is it better? Joanna hears me. Okay, so what about the others? I re-entered the room once again. Got relogged. Okay, Alberta hears me. Very good. Yes, that's great. So most of you hear me. I hope you all can hear me. So now we have about 10 minutes left for the end of the class. As we are, there are not so many of us, the job we're going to do now, we're going to generate the solutions that we can implement to solve the problems of the customers you have named. But we won't get divided anymore. We will work as one group. So I will delete the slide that is saying about the second group. We have the portraits of 3 persons. Two are very detailed, with very detailed description. The female woman of 30 and 20 years old. One is a student who is a bit demotivated and needs to spare her time between personal time and study. And the other woman is a mother of 3. Working as data engineer, and it's hard for her to work from home because of the noises and mess the children are making. Another that's not much like the description of the person, but more of a problem that there is the need of communication with the parents and to have more motivation in COVID, coronavirus. So now we are switching to the next slide. It's not the next, it's the third slide. there will be only one team, so don't pay attention to the name Team One. We are one team. We will be working together. And now I'm asking you to stick the notes with the ideas how to solve the problems of these people. How to, what solutions can we generate to improve the atmosphere for the working mother of three? How can we help the student to divide her time between personal and working time? So please, you will have 5 minutes to do this work. You may switch the microphones on. You may discuss here in with your voice or in chat. I will place the timing for 5 minutes. So we are starting. You may already begin, and we will have just 5 more minutes to discuss it in the end. So please, you are free to communicate with each other with your voice as well, if you wish. Only 5 minutes for the best ideas. You may place several, 2, 3, 5 ideas. As I have said, the more ideas you introduce, the better, because it helps to pick the best ones. Okay, now, so we're running out of time. 5 minutes have come to an end. I will now switch the picture of your ideas, of the ideas you generated. And now I would like, unfortunately, we don't have time to present the ideas, to depict the best ones, but I see they are very interesting, and some of them can really be worked as further projects and can be transferred in some products. For example, I don't know, maybe here I will put this page so that you see your proposals. So for example, the planners may be the IT solutions for planning your day with a very convenient interface that helps you to work efficiently and maybe to make points for the things you have fulfilled or not, and some other very interesting these planners, these group chats that maybe, for example, be united by some characteristic or something else. So some of these ideas can really be picked up and worked out further as the products and services for people who need to improve their working environment. Some are more like advices, for example. I liked the advice of sharing homeschooling with other parents. It may be a sort of a social service that can be created and can be developed as a startup. I think it's really interesting. Well, you will have a chance to have a glance on this Jamboard once again. And meanwhile, we are coming to some conclusion. We had only a glimpse, only an insight into the frame of design thinking. There are plenty of more instruments to test. We didn't have a chance, unfortunately, to go through the 5 steps according to the methodology and to test each one of them. But as I have said, you may turn to the D-School at Stanford University. They have plenty of materials. You may read it if you're interested in this method. From my practice, I may say that design thinking is really a good methodology for creating human-centered solutions, either in products or in services. It doesn't matter, in different spheres. It's really useful to make not only the product that we can imagine as a good one, but the product that is really needed by our customers. So we have to end up the class. If you have some feedback, if you want to ask some questions or to say something, I'm still staying here, you may do this. I would like to thank you all for this class, for paying attention, for being involved in teamwork. If you have any questions, you will have my contacts in both presentations. In fact, you may write, you may find me on Facebook, you may write me in almost all the messengers. If you need some advice, if you want to ask any questions, you're free to do this. I will be glad to answer your questions. So thank you very much. It was a pleasant time working with you. If you have anything to ask or to say, to give a feedback, you're free to do that. I'm still staying here. If you have other classes, you're free to go. And I hope we will meet on some other activities of summer schools of Samara University or some other schools and masterclass that we are holding in Samara University. So thank you very much. Now I'm giving you the code for the feedback about the reflection about your feeling for yourself, for your team, and for the lecturer, as we did it the previous time. I will now give you the code, so you may pass it any other time, anytime you want. It is still open. So it's 433903. 433903. Please share your feelings. And once again, thank you very much. If you have other classes, then head to the next class. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Here, or maybe further if you dive into this topic and need some advice, you may also write me messages in Facebook or in messengers. You have my contacts in presentations. So thank you. Yes, thank you once again. Have a good evening or day. I don't know what time is it now in your countries. For us, it's already evening. So have a good any time of the day. 10 p.m. Okay, I see. 10 p.m. in Malaysia. Okay. 8 a.m. So it's so varied. It's evening and morning. Whatever your time of the day is now, enjoy it. Have a good time. Study something new, get new knowledge, enrich yourself, enrich your knowledge, and I wish you all to be successful in any sphere you're working in or studying. Okay. So thank you. Well, if you don't have questions to ask right now, so I'm thanking you all. I see if I'm getting, yes, I'm getting some feedback from you. You may switch to the questions further. There are 3 questions: your emotions towards yourself, towards your teammates, and towards the speaker. The code is open, so you may answer it afterwards if you don't have opportunity now. I'm wishing you all the best and saying bye-bye to all of you. Hope seeing you in some other activities of Samara University.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.